Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about human testing. Honestly, though, I know what you're thinking. Does this guy ever wear a shirt? Not if I can help it. Now, on to the serious topic. Human testing. There's so much out there and being put out there about the birds, and the fish, and the bees. And everybody's doing it. And it's good because it's important. My lover, Jack Luck 4, put out some excellent information and videos regarding theories, and they were great. And in the midst of, we spent the weekend researching and doing some things. In the midst of that, and before that, we came across some information. One of the theories that you talked about was, you've got big business and commercial agriculture, industrial agriculture, and all of these corporations, large farms and such, that use these poisonous pesticides that get on the food and in the food, and we ingest them, and animals ingest them, and then, of course, we know what happens. That being said, in the midst of searching for information, we found some additional information that just, they seem to be shocked or amazed or so confused about what's happening with the birds. Is it so surprising? Because we've poisoned the air and the water and the ground so continuously and so horrendously that it's starting to come back and bite us in the ass. Because we have to look at the history of human testing. If we're going to do it, we are going to do it to ourselves. Why wouldn't we do it to creatures we consider to be inferior or less than us? Because we have this, higher brain functions and this intelligence and the ego that allows us to believe that we're more important than everything else. So, looking at some information uncovered a lot of stuff. There was an article in the New York Times that I'll link about syphilis and how the U.S. had to apologize to Guatemala for infecting nearly 700 Guatemalans, prison inmates, mental patients, and soldiers, in an effort to test the effectiveness of penicillin. So we just sent them an apology. We did it to test the effectiveness, and now we're going to apologize for it. This is something that's happened in different parts of the world. We talked about pesticides. Found an article about the EPA to allow pesticide testing on orphans and mentally handicapped children. What a wonderful society we live in. Public comments are now being accepted by the Environmental Protection Agency on its newly proposed federal regulation regarding the testing of chemicals and pesticides on human subjects. On August 2nd, 2005, Congress had mandated the EPA create a rule that permanently bans chemical testing on pregnant women and children. But the EPA's newly proposed rule misleadingly titled Protections for Subjects in Human Research, puts industry profits ahead of children's welfare. The rule allows for government and industry scientists to treat children as human guinea pigs in chemical experiments in the following situations. Children who cannot be reasonably consulted, such as those that are mentally handicapped or orphan newborns, may be tested on, with permission from the institution or guardian in charge of the individual. The child may be exposed to chemicals for the sake of research. Parental consent forms are not necessary for testing on children who have been neglected or abused. So if you've been beaten, smacked around, starved, you don't need a parental consent form. Chemical studies on any children outside of the U.S. are acceptable. Hello, world. We're going to test our chemicals on you. Disgusting, isn't it? And then we have something that we came across, Project SHAD, American Servicemen Used as Guinea Pigs. It's an acronym for Shipboard Hazard and Defense. It was part of the Joint Service Chemical and Biological Warfare Test Program conducted during the 60s. It was designed to identify U.S. warships' vulnerabilities to attack with chemical or biological warfare agents, and to develop procedures to respond to such attacks. So what they did is they took as many as 100 individuals and they tested biological and chemical agents on them. It says there were 4,300 sailors known to be involved, and to our knowledge, only 622 have been notified. It's just disgusting. And this was October 10th, 2002. Got a link if you want to look at the information. And then the coup de grace. The big mother lode. Came across this article in Natural News. I love Natural News. It's an amazing website. Are you feeling it, folks? I mean, are you feeling it? Are you feeling the love for ourselves and for each other? Look, I'm not bashing science. I'm not bashing medical advancements or technology. What I am doing is questioning the judgments of so many people throughout history. Based on the sake of medical advancement and science. Human medical experimentation in the United States, the shocking true history of modern medicine and psychiatry, 1833 to 1965. Oh man, there's some doozies here. This is a great article you can read down. It gives you the dates. It says read at your own risk. J. Marion Sims, later hailed the father of gynecology, 1845, performs medical experiments on enslaved African women without anesthesia. These women would usually die of infection soon after surgery. Wonderful. 1895, New York pediatrician Henry Hyman infects a 4-year-old boy whom he calls an idiot with chronic epilepsy with gonorrhea as part of a medical experiment. Children being used as guinea pigs, having spinal taps performed on them just to see if the procedure is harmful. And of course, we see prisoners and other subjects from the Philippines. So, of course, outside of the U.S. is A-OK and always was. This is 1900, for fuck's sake. Well over 100 years ago. And of course, I know you're going to say, over 100 years ago, some of their practices were more barbaric because we didn't know much back then. Well, it still doesn't forgive for the kinds of horrific procedures that they made people go through. 1911, Dr. Hideo Noguchi of the Rockefeller Institute of Medical Research publishes data on injecting an inactive syphilis preparation into the skin of 146 hospital patients and normal children in an attempt to develop a skin test for syphilis. Later, several of these children's parents sue them for allegedly infecting their children with syphilis. Medical experimenters test 15 children at the Children's Home St. Vincent's House in Philadelphia with tuberculin in 1913, resulting in permanent blindness in some of these children. The Pennsylvania House of Representatives records the incident, but the researchers are not punished for the experiments, and it goes on and on and on, folks, all the way up to 1965. We have a long history of doing certain things, perpetrating certain acts, and covering it up, and information coming out later. It's happened all throughout history. 30, 40, 50, 60 years later, maybe longer, we have these reports, information that's uncovered in basements and files and wherever else. And it's fucking awful. And it happens throughout our entire society. It happens in government. It happens with corporations, food testing, drug testing, government, the CIA, the other organizations that these coups that they create abroad and have for many, many years since the inception of the CIA. I'm just talking about the fact that we have a long and painful history of covering up these horrors that we commit against each other for the sake of advancement in medicine, advancement in science, advancement in military intelligence, advancement in business. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting to me. We can't even, if this is how we're going to continue to treat each other, how can we not expect or question or even deduce reasonably that what's happening with these animals and these, fish and birds and bees and bats and penguins, animals of all kinds all over the world dying. Is it not reasonable to think that these are the results of human behavior in some way, shape, or form? Because I'm sure if I spent enough time, did enough research, I'd probably be able to find pretty damn strong links to a lot of what's happening with these animals and the creatures all around the planet. So, little vlog about human testing and our disgusting history. Did you enjoy yourself, boys and girls? I know I did. Until next time.